Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Something Something podcast. My name is Eric Kasloff, and with me, as always, is Larry Sands. How's it going, Larry?
Eric, this has been a wild, crazy week.
Yeah, we're only in Tuesday,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
we can't say it just yet.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Wait,
I want to wait.
can we make it podcast official though? That we're kind of here. Okay, you know what I'm doing? I'm kind of wrapping up
We're
and putting a
very
bow.
close to announcing something pretty huge.
Wait, we can't announce it?
I'd rather wait. I'd rather wait
Oh,
till paperwork is signed and all of that.
all right, fine.
That's just the better. We know it's any day now, but we're gonna wait till that day.
Oh man, I'm like a racehorse. You got me
But
all riled up,
it's
Eric.
gonna be life-changing, is pretty
It
much the
is.
main thing we can say.
It is. As filmmakers, can we talk a roundabout?
Yeah.
Okay, good, 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 good.
I think people will figure out, it involves something we worked on and
For
something
quite a while.
happening to that thing we worked on.
Right, right, right. And the guest for today, which
Yeah.
we'll introduce him here in a quick minute. But what's it like for you? I know what it's like for me, but what's it like for you to know that we are really kind of at the, can we say at the end of production,
Yeah.
post-production?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
at
good.
the end of post-production on Hillsborough Road, and
Yep.
pretty much any minute now we're gonna have a big announcement.
Yes, 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 yes.
It literally could happen while we're doing this podcast. We
It
could get
could.
an email
It
about
could.
it.
It's almost like an expectant baby. We know it's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
We know it's gonna be here. We're just waiting for the birth date. But no, it's a special thing, I think, because when you live as a filmmaker, as really as a creative, you have this creative baby, right?
And
That you see it
I've
through.
been living with Hillsborough Road, longer than what it took to make the movie and the post-production,
Which
I've
is
had
true.
I was writing the script at least 7 years ago. It took
Really?
us, yeah, when I first came up with it, it just took me a while to get it right.
Wow.
At one point it wasn't set in the 80s. It was
Right,
just
right.
gonna be an 80s themed party.
That would have been
Yeah.
that.
It would have made the whole thing was going to be one of the girls makes everybody put their cell phones in a trunk of a car, and the line was there were no cell phones in the 80s, so there are no cell phones at my 80s party,
Which have been cool.
which would have
And then
made
the
the
person
movie
with
a
the key
lot
would die.
easier.
Huh?
Yeah, which would have made the movie a lot easier to make.
Exact. Yeah, but really honestly, um, I don't know. When you think about it, would it have made it easier?
Yeah,
It would.
yeah, way easier.
Or in what sense? Looking for costume, look,
Wardrobe,
wardrobe?
locations, all that stuff. Yeah. Well, no, now that I think about it, we're outdoors for 90% of the movie.
That was one of the requirements, wasn't it? About looking for an 80s outdoor?
Yeah, yeah. But Larry, a movie. Oh, wait, you know what? I'll tell my incident at the movie theater next time. Let's get to our guest because I'm very excited about our guest, man.
I am too. I am too.
You know,
When we ended the editing session and we started to look for um a composer, a musician, anybody that would kind of grasp the idea and kind of take it and run with it.
and it was a long, hard road finding the
Yeah.
right guy.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think it should be. I think because
Yeah.
when you find the right people, I think it's supposed to happen, right?
And I like working with the same people over and over and over again. So
Right.
I really think we found our composer, the guy we will go to when it's time to do the music. And well, Larry, let's just get to it. Introduce our guest.
Man, I tell you, I am honored and proud to have Brooks. on our show today. Brooks, welcome to the Something Something podcast. And because of your contribution to the movie, I say contribution, you really like made it robust and filled it out quite nicely.
Gee, thanks.
You're
Thanks for having
welcome.
me. Yeah, I'm
You're
excited
welcome.
to talk shop about it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Uh I guess as like a coming of traction and things that I want to get into, and I know Eric does too, is
Yeah.
talking about Hillsborough Road and how you approached doing the music because it is set in the 80s obviously, and we had that talk about synthesizers and Eric I think sent you music. But let's start at really the beginning because we catch you at the end, right, of your creative process. We hear, and we can feel what you make. How in the world did you get started as a composer? And are you a musician too?
Yeah, I play a handful of instruments. I'm only trained in one, and that's connected to like the roots of where it all began. It was like grade school orchestras. I played viola for
Oh.
almost a decade, going up to like undergrad,
Wow.
and took a break from music in general and focused on that undergrad. And it was in graphic design, but I had so many friends, and um, there was a faculty member who wound up becoming sort of a mentor, and we made a ton of short films and uh, tried to make as much as we can, and later inspired a film program at the school,
Wow.
uh, which is crazy. And my mentor, his name is Michael DeGiorgio. I think he's the sole reason why there is a film program at the university.
What
Wow.
Um,
university?
Coastal Carolina University.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Very cool.
it's blossoming. It's been very successful, and I think that's awesome.
Have they asked you back to talk? Because they should, because you're amazing.
Not yet. I worked with their like in-house press called Athenaeum Press, and they reached out and are doing like a alumni, um like what would an alumni tell a current student about the career path afterwards, and that sort of thing. And mine is an interesting perspective because my career is going in a completely different direction than what
Right.
that degree is
That's
in,
so cool.
but I
Right,
still
right.
I still use it all the time, plus the experience of uh kind of turning it into like a pseudo film program of my own, and a number of students also um, took part in those projects. And we didn't know anyone that did original music, and we were just using library tracks that we found online and kind of just like using our taste to be like, okay, yeah, this sounds
Yep,
neat, or this sounds
yep,
cool.
yep, yep.
And it got to the point where it's like we should try and get someone to do like original music for our shorts, and really help build an identity for this, and do it real, and try and make it like an actual movie would do.
Right,
And
right.
no one was around that did it, even like music program people who were like, I could do it, but I don't know how. And we were like, okay, let's take a step back. Can we do it ourselves? And it's like a light bulb went off, and I kind of like kicked myself for not realizing it sooner. uh I've got all this background in music, and I'm obsessed with film scores, so why don't I just give it a shot? And GarageBand's free. There's tons of free. At this point, there were like, it was very, very dry in terms of free resources for
Right.
film scoring and good quality instruments. And I had no budget or no preparation for any of this. So either I was recording my friends for a cheeseburger, or,
Hey,
or
that's how
get
it
it
starts, man.
Yeah.
right, or um, using Spitfire Labs. That was the big start for using like samples and learning how that
And it
works.
wasn't like Fruity Loops a big one too, or did that die out by your time?
That's before me, but I
Okay.
remember, but I remember, but that has been in conversation. I just haven't used any of it, but I think
Remember,
some people still do.
Reason was another big one. There was this Christian artist, David Crowder, and
Hmm.
if you bought his CD, you got a copy of Reason on the disc.
Wow. Now, what is
That's
Reason?
awesome.
Is that a software, music
Yeah,
software?
music
Mhm.
software.
Really?
Yeah,
Dang. That's really cool.
I didn't know
That
that. That's sick.
that's really
yeah.
cool. Actually, I have two questions for you, Brooks. First of all, what's a viola for people that don't know? I'm just asking for friends. I know exactly what it is. But
Great.
also, but you're you what is your degree in?
My degree's in graphic design, uh, graphic design and photography. So, it helps when I'm trying to market myself, or if
Right.
there's
Yeah.
a video that needs made. I did a ton of video editing, and um, I don't want to call it cinematography because it was so bare bones. It was literally just like me with the camera most of the time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it'd be like not natural lighting. Rah, rah, rah. That was I think that was the big craze in like 2016, 2018, and
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
I don't know. I just got a lot of experience and learned the basics of everything. Even just playing with those ideas in high school, but that helped, I think, in terms of like if you have to market yourself or you have to turn a video to someone, or if you're going to be on a podcast that might need video, that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that does a neat trick.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people come out of school, and was it a film specific school or like all
No,
around for everything? Okay,
they're film. It's a liberal arts school, and
okay,
they only just recently um had that film program. It's only been not even 5 years, and
Wow.
it started as a minor, and now it's going into a full-fledged
very cool,
program.
very cool. When you transitioned like fully into music, and you went from, and I think that's how it starts. I think, with anything because we kind of use like as independent budget conscious filmmakers we use what we can find, right? And when did you shift to recording your own music, from using all of the like the little beats and things that are out there, and what did that look like, and how do you do that now? Because I think when people listen to this, they're going to be like, this sounds great, this is right up my alley. I don't know where to start.
What was the question again?
I know. Actually, how did you start going from using tracks that you found to
Hmm.
recording your own music?
So yeah, being trained in viola, I didn't really spend a lot of my time with treble clef or bass clef. It's all alto, which is so backwards and funny. And at the last conference I went to, that was a funny conversation. Of was the brunt of that conversation was literally redheads and violas, and that, and also just the redundancy of the alto clef, because it's a pain in the rear for those who aren't like super familiar with it, and it's backwards for me because I have a hard time with treble clef and bass clef. But as a composer, you kind of have to deal with it and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and utilize. But thankfully, a lot of like modern day software, if you notate in the piano roll, it translates into whatever stock like score preview there is. So that
Yeah.
helps me translate a lot, especially as like a visual person, um, and obviously auditory. But starting with samples and things, the context of me mentioning all that is a lot of it is just by ear or tone or feeling. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people say like um, composers are like they're almost like not therapists, but like I don't know how to say this, but it's we are always passively influencing the like emotion of a scene,
Oh,
and
Absolutely.
completely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
that's kind of what we do, is reinforce what the scene is trying to compel.
Yes.
And if there's anything that's like the subtext of everything, I think that's where music shines, is like what does this scene mean, what does the scene, what is the mechanic of this scene, and how can music help support that and like bring it full force. Um and that helps a ton with horror movies, because you get to make really crazy sounds that help spook people. And
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
I always like to say
Exactly.
that horror movies are like the best genre to write music for, because you tend to get the gamut of everything. You can write a love theme for a horror
Right.
movie. You can
Right.
write, a fun a little jingle or rock ballad.
Yeah.
uh and then you've got some like Bartok nasty strings, and and yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, because again, you never know what the scene needs. And talking about our movie, watching it with a score is a completely different
Right.
experience. I mean,
Agreed.
it felt like a movie, the
Yeah.
one when you were finished, and then the sound effects you added, the gore effects brought it up even more. So it felt like a movie. I mean, I remember reading about when Alfred Hitchcock made Psycho, and the shower scene didn't work without the score. It didn't look right, it
Right.
didn't feel right. Then, when you watch the movie, everybody thinks they heard stabbing,
Yeah.
but there was no stabbing. It was all the score. It works so perfectly. And then you think about our great horror icons. Michael Myers, Freddy, Jason all had that particular score that immediately makes you think of them, and people try to parody for other stuff or copy outright.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And actually, Eric, everybody that you mentioned, the Freddie, the Jason, the Michael, was really all in the 80s, right?
Yeah,
Is that a true statement? And
yeah.
and going into um obviously to score this, you were kind of specific, I think, and Brooks, you can attest to this about Eric and his theme, obviously from the 80s, and what he wanted to do with the different synth synth the synths.
Synthesizer.
There
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What was that like for you? Because and I before you answer, I will echo what
Basically,
Eric
what
said.
Larry wants to know is how did it feel to get yelled at by me and to have me somehow break the laws of physics and throw stuff at you from my house through the
How did
film?
it feel to be yelled at, Brooks? Constantly.
Oh, it was
Constantly.
terrible. Oh, it was unbearable. Yeah. Obviously, that never happened.
Yeah.
you you guys were awesome to work with, and every time there was like an idea, or I tried something, it was always like unanimous. Oh yeah, that is such a cool idea. And
Yeah.
you guys were very reinforced on like on ideas and trying things, and that's always refreshing in projects.
Well, you
um
were so
Good.
good at what you were doing. It was so easy to work with you because you understood the language that we were coming from.
Yeah. 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 Don't want to throw a wet blanket on any of your creative process for sure. So,
I
yeah.
appreciate it. And you
Yeah.
mentioned some of the sound effects stuff, which isn't normal for a composer to do. But I mean, I mentioned I have background doing other things, and mixing was a part of our conversation for this,
Hmm.
and the just the idea of throwing in some nasty sounds and just really help
It worked.
have
There's a
fun more with it.
splatter.
And yeah, it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
and that was a
Yeah.
great time to put together.
Yeah.
um and I hope that really gives the audiences the ick.
Oh, I think they will. I
Oh,
know they will. I mean, it's odd to talk about because when you make, whether you're making an audiobook, a feature film, a short film, everything has a sound to it. And I think that is one of probably the most important things is to put sound to things. Even when, because Eric, we're working on an audio book now, and the talking, it's a sci-fi book, and like
That's cool.
he's like, well, there's no sound in space, and I was like, yeah, but there's sound to the listener, and you have to find that white noise almost,
Yeah.
um, to have that fullness. And I think when you miss things, I think people kind of feel it. But equally, when you add everything in and it becomes a living, breathing thing, which Brooks, you really brought your A plus plus game to this. So I think it's absolutely fabulous, and I know Eric does too. But
Oh,
go ahead.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
talk a bit about music overall. What are some of your musical influence? Then we'll get back into the movie stuff.
Obviously, like the heavy hitters of Halloween, The Shining, basically anything from the 80s that had some sort of Moog or Prophet synthesis. And people who are like dead set on those will know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
the Yamaha DX7 was a big, like, in terms of hardware, those were the big influences for like the sound of the synths, and also just trying to like modernize it in a way that feels like the music changes throughout the movie. And we discussed that a lot. It's like, how
Hmm.
can we, because the movie, never mind, that was going to go into spoilers. I was about to start blah, blah, blah. Uh but
Remember the
without spoiling
NDA? Remember
anything.
the NDA.
Right, exactly, exactly,
Yeah, the man in the black suit is standing outside my door.
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
uh but without spoiling anything, the movie plays a little bit with a timeline and presents some opportunities to throw new ideas in every now and then.
Hmm.
Um, but even then, like with the temp score, I thought it was interesting that there was piano and strings, and we talked about introducing those um, textures and going from that, and also kind of modernizing it, because as soon as you throw strings or an orchestra, it makes everything almost timeless, and uh, also kind of grounds everything, I feel.
Hmm.
So introducing that on top of the synths, and just to remind everyone what they're watching, uh, fun 80s slasher, and also reintroducing the piano idea with um, the slashers theme, and uh, turning that on its head, because once stuff starts to go crazy, um, piano is still very much involved, but it doesn't sound like a piano. It's
Hmm.
like the guts of a piano. Um, I have a lot of amazing samples from different people of just like the craziest loud strung banging noises of people literally just like obliterating the like harp of a piano,
Hmm.
and it's some of the like scariest noises. And I thought that was a really interesting way to like set the instrument. You have the normal keys playing a theme, a melody that plays throughout it, and once the horror starts to become more present and relevant, the guts of the piano is very present, and a bunch of other specialty instruments that like are very much for the last 30-ish minutes of the movie. So
Oh,
once
Yeah.
it starts to get
completely.
really scary, that's whenever
Yes.
the major Brooksisms then.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I'll talk vaguely is the movie is definitely a mix between Dazed and Confused and Friday the 13th, because it
Mm,
does become a hangout movie for a long time. And
yeah,
you did a great job with the hangout portion of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
thank you.
Agreed. Agreed. It's kind of like it flows. It almost it I know there's places and you pick places where music and it builds, but it almost feels like when it goes away, it's still around in a good way. because it becomes its own character um throughout the whole movie, and it's really it's its own theme, like Eric was saying. So good job on that. And you how do you record, like, because I know recording music, much like, when you shoot a movie, you have layers, right? You have
Mhm.
graphics and all that. So technically speaking, when you look at composing a movie, or really anything, um, how do you approach? Do you think globally, and when you watch it, do you start to get a feeling and a sense of what you're watching, and then you kind of just start do you start playing with the keys and synthesizers as you watch? What is the process? Because I'm fascinated when it comes to musicians, and putting their stuff together, because I know filmmaking and that's like, all right, fine. But as
Yeah.
a musician, what is your process?
And before we're going forward, I wanted to give you guys credit for the pinpointing of where music goes and
Oh,
the moments of silence, because that was also very much in the conversation early on
hmm,
whenever we were watching the movie for the first time. Eric, I know you really pushed for moments of silence
Yeah.
because that does help when there are moments of music, and like you said, Larry, helps it kind of become a character that reinforces the importance of when there is music. So it really adds the intention of what scenes are trying to convey. And I think where we spotted everything in our meetings, that really reinforced those ideas. And later on when there needed to be like adjustments, those are also just for helping in the context and any technical reasons as well. But uh and from those meetings, that's where it all starts usually, is watching the movie with the director, producer, whomever, and after going through just like the umbrella of ideas and any influences, the the next thing is to kind of think globally initially. So then it's like this is the arc of the story and also like the arc of the music. So in Hillsborough Road's case, the opening of the movie was perfect for the ideation of like a main theme
hmm,
and an early version of that, because it does sort of change throughout the film. And that was the start of it all. So that was where I got to play with the ideas of, all right, so 80s synth, but also some piano, some strings, and how do I make that sound like it fits or belongs and it sets the tone right. Um, and even like recording some of my home instruments. Like I'm pretty sure in the fun little scare in the opening, there's a little bit I recorded of a thing called a thunder drum, and it's this wooden can with like a steel string at the end of it. It's this crazy looking thing, and to make the noise, it almost sounds like it's like the musical version of like a roll of thunder. Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
you
Wow.
just use your fingernail or the meat of your fingers, and you just yank on the cord, and it just and it just
Right,
sounds
right.
That is so cool. Your
That's cool.
neighbors must
bonkers.
hate you from all the noise you make, man. I hope you're
Thankfully,
not
we
in an
got
apartment.
I have roommates,
Oh,
and they know what I do. So whenever they hear crazy stuff, they're like, "Oh, there he goes."
You see, you could kill someone and they won't. Oh, he's just working on
right.
another
He's
movie.
at a
That's what
movie.
the
Yeah,
screams
yeah,
are.
yeah, which is true.
Oh no, I had my speakers up when I was doing the foley and
Oh,
the gore sound effects. So I'm pretty sure people were over and they were watching a movie downstairs. So
Oh, that's awesome.
anytime there was probably like a quiet scene, they were hearing some crazy stuff.
no doubt, no doubt.
But
That's
let's talk
awesome.
about just music in general, because you're a musician. Besides film scores, what do you listen to? Any particular artists, genres?
Right now, I'm really big on this band called Lord Huron or Huron.
Okay.
It's like an alternative. It's an alternative band, and they're almost like a a more chill version, which is weird to say, of Arcade Fire, and it's
Wow.
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm obsessed with their stuff. My one of my roommates, his name's Marcel. He introduced me to them, and I live in Myrtle Beach, and they're playing not far from here in Wilmington, North Carolina, this
Oh,
June.
That's
Um,
cool.
so he's like, this band's playing. Here's a playlist of their music if you're interested in going. And yeah, immediately fell in love with
Wow.
their stuff. Also a big fan of the Arcade Fire and alternative groups. That's usually where my jam is. And uh, I grew up with a lot of rock, so it's easy
okay.
to mellow out into the alternative scene today.
Yeah.
That's usually what works for me, other than the film score obsession.
When it comes to rock, name some bands because that's Larry really loves 80s metal. I'm
Yeah.
a pop punk and emo guy. That's my two favorite genres and ska. I love ska music.
That's cool.
Ska is cool.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with ska, but I mean, growing up, it was a lot of like, uh, and these are newer bands too, so you guys might laugh, but Coheed and Cambria, uh,
Okay. Yeah.
that's Asking Alexandria.
They're awesome.
Cool.
That's a band that I wish was still mainstream and was was still pushing. Because growing up, that they were really influential. In just like the brutality, but also like the nuance in their music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that was the whole metalcore scene. They were not, I don't know if they were exactly that, but they were close enough to metalcore, I think.
Yeah, and there's a lot of modern bands that sound exactly like them, but they were just so ahead of their time, even though it was not that long ago. But
Yeah.
um, and then growing up, my dad listened to a lot of like AC/DC, Metallica, and
Okay.
anything that was on the radio.
Yeah.
Um, and with those bands, I never got too influenced or attached to any of like the classics, but whenever I do hear them, it is just like this like there's a root there,
That's
Yeah.
you know,
cool.
just growing up with it. So
Yeah.
that genre always has a special
It's
place.
hard not to like Enter the Sandman. Enter Sandman, it's hard not to like that song, dude. Or One,
Yeah,
it's hard not to rock out to it.
absolutely.
I think good music in general, I think is is a big influence maybe on creative people. I guess people in general, but when you listen, Brooks, to things that you kind of grew up on, do you kind of use that nostalgia in the way that you approach making music?
All the time, and a lot of the times it is those like classic scores that I
Yeah.
grew up with too. Obviously Williams Jurassic Park is like probably the biggest influence because that's really what started everything. That movie
Hmm.
had everything that a tiny Brooks would have wanted: dinosaurs, visual effects,
Tiny
ama-
Brooke, that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, and this was all before I knew what anyone was doing, and before it was like, oh, these are jobs that you could have one day, um, and make things, and you know, it was real to me, and the music I think was a big part of that. Um, Not emulation, that what is it, immersion, and studying that more and learning more about like how the orchestra is built, and then you know in middle school you're given the option of violin or cello, and then you decide on the viola because you can't make up your mind, and then you have the ability to like explore that music in person and play it, like going online and trying to find the Jurassic Park theme and play that and kind of just learn how it works and the mechanics behind Williams. He's still such a complex mind. I haven't broken anywhere near that man's
Mm,
writing, but
wow.
I think that is like the biggest influence, and any scores that I love and listen to a lot, I probably emulate without knowing.
He
Because
Hmm.
I still operate a
really
lot on sound.
He
Hmm.
really is the greatest composer of all time. I mean, James Newton Howard's right up there, Hans Zimmer, but Williams, there, I gotta find this video for you. You might have seen it. There's these two little kids standing outside of John Williams' house. You've seen
Yes.
it? Dressed as
Yes.
stormtroopers. It is so glaring. So
And
these
he's
two
playing for them, or they're
no, no,
playing for
they're
him.
playing. There's these two little kids dressed up as stormtroopers outside of John Williams' house playing, was it the Imperial March or was it the main
I think
theme, the
so.
Star? They're playing something and he comes
Yes.
out and says hi to them.
That's cool. That's very cool. That's very cool. And then he called the cops.
No.
No, actually, Brooks, speaking of like orchestras and stuff, because I going through your website, um, yeah, have you been a part of like orchestras and like the bands putting scores together? Because
What do you
I
mean?
could, and well, I saw like on your website, which it will be linked in the description, but like your featured projects. And I know it said it's for Jurassic Park, right? The 44-piece orchestra.
Full circle? No, yeah.
I know, right?
The yeah, that was an awesome project I made with some friends for a few years, and that was kind of like my gift to them. Over time, I wasn't working on anything other than that, and whatever whatever means that I had over the year to celebrate that series and the accomplishments that we all made, the goal was to record something from that show with some kind of ensemble, and
Yeah,
the dominoes fell in the right places, and uh, got to book an hour with amazing orchestra in North Macedonia, and they do remote sessions, and uh, really are some of like the most talented uh, players in Europe, and they play on so many amazing things. And I was a fan of them for a while, and finally getting the chance to a record with an orchestra with my music. Those are the first like I've recorded with small ensembles before locally and solo musicians, but this is the first time like a full blown orchestra played my stuff, and uh, doing it for that project as well with music that I hold so dear. And a lot of it was original for the show, but there were some motifs and things that I recorded and changed and made my own. But you know, they're recognizably Jurassic.
yeah,
Any fan of the movies or the music would recognize them.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that no, that was special, and that really reinforced my like my love for the orchestra. I also I love synthesis. I love weird instruments. There's some in Hillsborough like hurdy-gurdy and octave harpa and just some just weird animal gut string instruments. And uh, there's just something about the orchestra that I mentioned. It's like it has this timeless feel.
Yeah.
Um, it's this untouchable epic. Uh,
It's what movies sound like.
right,
it is,
You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like if
right,
an alien comes down and says, "What do movies sound like?" You're gonna play them something by
right,
John Williams,
right,
either
E.T.
yeah,
right, right,
E.T.,
right.
Back to the Future, one
Yep,
of those things you're gonna play for them. And I do think you're gonna start doing more work with orchestras because you know you're good. Right
very
now, I
good.
guess you can look at it as you're in your club era. And, you know, pretty soon you move up to your arena rock era when you're using orchestras, man.
I like it. Thanks.
You know, Brooks, for how this sounds, you are our John Williams.
Shucks.
No,
I
I mean
mean,
that because no, I mean because I study filmmakers way too much and like how M. Night Shyamalan always used as the same composer. And my
Yeah.
biggest problem is I'm too loyal. Like when I'm writing something, I think, well, I gotta make sure there's a way for Larry to be in this. this new script that I'm working on. Like, man, I would love for Brooks to be part of this. Also, after this, I have this pitch I want to tell you guys about. I could never get this movie made as a movie, but it is an awesome, awesome pitch.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
that's
very
cool.
down.
That's cool. That's cool. Brooks, from everything, knowing actually, I have a question before I ask this one, and I'll probably forget. But
Mhm.
do you remember the moment you wanted to do composing?
Mm.
That's a really good question. Other than like the moment when because I remember the project where I was like, no, I remember the project where someone told me that it was the first time someone was like, "You're really good at this. You should really keep
Mm-hmm.
doing this."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that was it was a short film. It was a short film that I made, yeah, with my mentor Michael, uh, some of my current roommates, and this is like it took us to Burbank. It was with like it was AT&T's Create-a-thon. It was almost like a 48 hour.
Okay.
Um, we submitted our like pitch deck, and it was submitted. We are like, or it was accepted, and we were like, oh, okay, so now it's go time.
Yeah.
And we had this idea of recording music for it before we left, and a lot of that was like heavily improvised. We had some, or Michael had some friends in other states that threw in some music, some like stems, and this was like the first project that I was also proud of. But after the fact, building the score in a hotel room after we filmed and uh, just throwing in the pieces, and it was all intuitive, no like barely any music theory. It was literally just like, all right, this is the scene, these are the tone, these are the layers that I have to work with. Um, I recorded my friend on cello. Another friend did like marimba rolls. It was a very interesting mix of things. We had some like guitar and uh, crazy like feedback swells. It was a very
That's
cool
cool.
like
Wow.
heist film. So these were all like palettes. So we're like, all right,
Oh,
we need this, that. And by the end, I mean, music within the group was like one of the big successes. And when people are inflating your ego like that, it's like, okay, yeah, all right, this needs to be the thing. And with each project, it gets that reward happens of either you really really love the music and there's no like reception, or you do get reception, and it is always, that is probably the best part, is like the human response to music and the filmmakers, because I always hope I succeed in translating their scene and intention into the music, and that's really what drives it forward for the next one. That's like the
right.
battery recharge
Yeah. Yeah.
after everything. And
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
feel it from this. So I'm very, very
Oh,
happy
thank you.
with
Very
everything.
good, very good. I guess you do, because I think with filmmaking and I think with music, it takes a little bit shorter time, but still, when you create something, especially with a movie, and you live with it for so long because you have to do the post-production, you have to do the editing, you have to do if you're going to do music, and then you have to live with it so long, and you kind of just sit in your like little space, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can get up. It's easy to get up in your head. But then all of a sudden you put it out and you get a response, and it's like, yeah. That's what it was for. That's what it was
Yeah.
for. All this stuff being up in your head, and do you go back and do you listen and do you change things that you do? Um,
Very
you know,
short term. So
okay,
like
good.
if there's like a if there's a like a soundtrack release or something, a lot of the time what you hear in a major film release is not what winds up on the soundtrack album.
Oh,
Someone explained it. I think it was oh, who's the new Avatar composer? I'm gonna beat myself up for forgetting. Oh, Simon Franklin. He said in a panel not long ago the music in the movie is Jim Cameron's music. The
Hmm.
music in the album is mine.
Oh.
So what you hear in the soundtrack album is his mix. Everything is what he envisions it to sound for like a listening experience. Because
Hmm.
even though it's a film score, the album's released. It's for people to ingest and enjoy separately. So sometimes even there are like edits and mashes of different cues that because some cues are like 4 seconds,
Yeah.
Right.
not
Yeah.
enough for its own track,
Right.
but you can seam them together with other moments and build a longer thing.
Mm.
So that's really the only thing that I tend to change is if I want to release music or uh, if there is a moment in it's very rare if there's a moment in the score where I'm like I'm not happy with how that turned out. So I'm going to do a little tiny thing here just to clean it up. That
Yeah.
rarely happens, but it does. It's inevitable.
Oh.
But for the most part, it's the same. And especially if you record anything, uh, hard to change any of that in the end.
Right. Right.
So it's
Exactly.
kind of like how a script is never finished. A score is kind of never really finished, huh?
It's not finished
Mm.
until it is, until you send it out there.
And so
Yeah.
the DVD commentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Uh, Brooks, it's hard to wrap up because I think we're just kind of scratching the surface. And maybe it would be good when we have everything, all our ducks in a row, have you
Yeah,
back on and talk more in depth. Um, uh, about what you do and how you went about for Hillsborough Road in particular.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get into nice deep woods. But do you think that with everything that how you started to where you ended up, do you think you have been on a certain path? Does it feel? Do you ever look back and go, ah, that's why I did this project so I can carry it into this project? And that's why I did a project long time ago, and then I just recently did that on the same. So does it make sense in a way?
Yeah, I love thinking like that. I I'm not like a spiritual or well, I think I'm more spiritual than I am religious. But
Mhm.
I love to think of the path and synchronicity between everything.
Mhm.
So whenever there was this like trend whenever I lived in Orlando and was bouncing back and forth between Myrtle Beach and there. Uh, it was this weird thing where every single day, it didn't matter if it was morning or evening, but my eyes would always lock on a clock on my phone or computer or alarm clock, wall clock, whatever. And it was always at 11:11 every single time.
Mm. Wow.
And to this day, don't know what that means, but that's the thing that keeps me in that like spiritual mindset. Where it's like, all right, there is a thread between everything that I'm doing that I can recall that is like, all right, if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't be in this place. If I didn't meet this person, then I wouldn't have this
Yeah.
opportunity. If I didn't, and that's also very much in my like philosophy of the yes or no. Being a yes man is great because that opens doors, and
Yeah.
closing doors also opens doors. So it's
Right.
it's it's fine to say no, and that was something that I had to learn. We all have to learn that at some point, but
Yeah.
That's the tough one.
yeah,
Eric tells me no all the time now.
Yeah.
In a good way, in a good way, because I think you have to find a way to wrangle yourself and whoever you're working with in a good way, in a good way.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But I hope
it
that answered your question. I
Oh, completely.
do I do think back a lot on previous things, but and also
Yeah.
like trying to look ahead all the time. And um, this project especially helped with just expanding on what I like to do and what I do often. I find myself doing a lot more acoustic and orchestral stuff, and rarely get the chance to have fun with synthesis and throw that color in, and also mix and have fun with Foley effects
Yeah.
and really get into the deep nitty gritty, because this is my second no is my second feature
Oh,
with doing like a full-fledged storylines, and it's because I'm usually
Wow.
in the short film space,
Right.
or now getting more into
Wow.
games, which
Wow.
is an even bigger commitment. But any chance that I have to get more into the nitty gritty with like a short film
Yeah.
timeline and plot,
Yeah.
then I feel like that's like the big muscle flexor, like workout that I can have, and it's always super beneficial.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I know, Brooks, we will have you back on because there's a lot of stuff I know that we just kind of a
skim through
great
everything.
overview, right?
Yeah.
And but honestly, working with you was magic.
Really,
And every
really.
time Eric and I
Likewise.
would watch the film, we'd be like, "Oh my God, this is totally different.
Yeah,
You really filled it out." Um, so it's very I- I don't know if it's rare, but when you find a filmmaking community, you gotta try to hang on to it as tight as you
exactly.
can. And
Yeah.
Brooks, I would like to think kind of like what Eric said, man, you're our guy. You're our guy. So yeah.
Awesome.
And I will say, Eric, before you wrap up, if you're listening to this, anybody and everybody that is looking for a music composer
He's
that
your guy.
knows his stuff, this is the end all be all. But you can't have him like we're gonna have him. So
Exactly. Yeah.
sorry. But yes, by all means,
When he's not working on our stuff, then he could
Ex-
work with you.
Exactly. 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 Brooks, thank you so much. Um, you really are a blessing, and
Really, man.
you are very
Thank you, guys.
talented, and I am very proud to have met you and
Yeah.
are working with you and look towards the future. So thank you.
Right on. Back at you guys. Yeah,
Um,
this was sick.
Thank you.
Brooks, thank you so much for coming on the show. And like we say each and every week, everybody, remember, support New Life Village.